Hey everyone, it's Ometer, and welcome back again to our everyday in December videos that we're doing. Today I'm going to do, yesterday I had an easy card, the easy farmhouse style cards, and I posted those, and I just wanted to give other easy ideas because for Christmas, sorry, I have like something there. Anyway, for Christmas we have tons of people to send cards to, and friends and family, and I wanted to try something else with easy to find cards, easy to find stamps. So this stamp is from, this one is a Stampenda stamp. Now this one you can find at Michael's and at Tuesday Morning, and this one just says Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. You kind of want to cover both your bases. This one is from Hobby Lobby. Now, the reason I picked this because it had a nice whimsical font for the Merry Christmas and a very simple Times New Roman font for the New Year. So we're going to go ahead and first create the base. And I'm using some Lawn Fawn Mermaid ink. Now, you don't have to use that ink. You can use any ink that you want to. I'm trying to make this as quick and easy as possible. So my plan is to have the Merry Christmas and Happy New Year up here. The little birds here. I'm not going to do the Ugg boots because I'm not a basic individual, so I'm going to create a nest hopefully, but this is going to be the background. Now we're going to start and just work our way out to kind of give it a background. Let's hope this works because I hate doing this. I wanted to do like the watercolor image. Look at that. I think that's too much. Let's try this side. I mean, I should just get a new sponge, but I think I just had too much ink. I just want something in the background to kind of break up the whatchamacallit, the sentiment and the birds, because the birds we're going to stamp on in a separate piece and then layer on here, because I wanted to make some kind of like a card that you can send out from a couple to family members or friends, like if you're with somebody, because this is kind of like from our nest to your nest kind of situation. So there we go. That one is set. So now let's get the ink, which of course, why be ready, right? I'm going to stamp the, ink everywhere now. I'm going to stamp the sentiment, but first I'm going to stamp it on some scratch paper to make sure it's picking up the ink well enough. Perfect. All right. I don't like that this MFT ink stains my stamps, but I do like that it stamps very well. Crap. All right, problem. This, I just accidentally put the lid on here, and that happened. No problem. Let's go ahead and, wait, is this already cut down to size? Yes, that's already cut down to size. No problem. We're going to go ahead and cut another piece, and that was cut down to 5 1/4 by 4, because that way it would fit on the mat that we're going to use. So we'll just set that aside for now. We're going to go ahead and go in again with the blue. And yes, these are the things that happen, people. And it's okay. There are worse things. And we'll just go ahead and work our way out. I want to get off as much ink before I do this. And I see people make backgrounds and they're gorgeous and full and beautiful, and I'm like, mine never get to that point. But I did just want the center to be a little bit darker to give it a little bit of a good heavy background. All right, let's try this one more time. Just trying to center it. In retrospect, I should have probably left it the full size of the card front and then just cut it down. But I kind of wanted to get things going. Perfect. We're going to move on now. Now we're going to let that dry, set that aside, let it dry. I'll just flip this mess over. And we're going to stamp the image now. And let's see. If the legs don't stamp perfectly, that's fine. I'm going to make a little bit of a faux nest. Once again, let's stamp this. Because on occasions I've actually found stamps that somebody has tampered with or whatever. So, or maybe they didn't stamp out didn't get manufactured perfectly and it's missing a little piece, and this way you know. Both of these stamps, by the way, I think I've had for a year and I haven't used. So this is a good thing that we're going to get to use them. So we just stamp it on there. I'm going to color it with my Copic markers just because they're just right there, but you can color it with whatever you want. So I decided to speed up the coloring process, mainly because to totally make this card, it took me about 35 minutes, and I didn't want to have a super long video. I appreciate everybody's comments, that they like the real time, and I do too. The only thing is that sometimes when I'm coloring, it's still a lot of experimenting. So it's like the Frankenstein of crafting, because I'm literally just trying different things and going back and forth to figure out what process, because I'm still a novice with Copics, you guys, trust me, and I want to use them more. I want to get better at it. I follow tutorials. I would love to take a class, like a one-on-one class. I know there's several online classes. I prefer the kind of one-on-one. If I'm going to pay $300 for a Copic class, and yes, that's how much they cost, $200 to $300, I want to be able to say, oh, excuse me, what about this? As opposed to messaging somebody a question. Now, here I'm using, for the bird on the right, I'm using W3, W1, W00 to give it a little bit of shading. They are going to be doves because it is the holidays, I wanted them to be doves, but just have a little bit of shading. The one on the left, I have N3, N1, and N0 to give that one a little bit of a different shading. And I will admit that I went too dark and the lines were too stark, so I went ahead afterwards with my colorless blender, my zero marker with colorless blender, to kind of fade out the lines, and it worked out perfectly. That's usually my saver. It's my saving grace on those things, because I do that right here, because it blends it away. Now for the hat, I use the typical red colors that most everybody uses. Is R24, R27, and R29. I start with the darkest, and I might work my way out. For the hat on the bird on the left, I used my B02, B00, and B000 for it to have a blue hat. But I didn't want it to be the blue that kind of matched with the background, so I wanted it to be a different color blue. Now for the little pom-poms on the top, I did use the opposing colors of the birds. Whichever bird color I used on the birds on one side, I used it up the opposite side to give that little poof a little bit more color, and so it doesn't blend in with the actual bird that it's on top of. I just do a couple of spots of the darkest color, and then I just blend it out with the lightest of the colors. Now with the hats, both of them, once I blended them in, I felt that they were too blended, and I just went ahead and used the darkest of the colors around the little edges where I wanted more shading, just to give it a better look. Oh, here I'm actually doing the colorless blender, just to kind of fade it out. And you might want to wait until the ink is dry, because then you will see exactly what you end up with. Because of the alcohol and the liquid in the marker, the lines, it right away when you're done coloring is not the actual color it's going to be. It's when it dries is what you're going to have. The present, everything I did, the present, the scarf on the bird on the right, I used the same colors that I had. I just used the lighter versions of it, or I don't color them in as richly as I did for the hats. The funny thing is, when I blended the present, I ended up using the strongest color, the darkest color. Then I just waited till it dried and just give it a little bit more shading, because the more of the colors that you put on, the darker it gets. If you keep going over and over, it's not going to stay the same color. Whatever color you're using, it actually gets darker than when you originally started. The candy canes scarf, I did the same colors as the hat, used the neutral grays to give the little stripes a little bit of shading. It was just much easier that way. Like I said, I used the same colors that I have. Now, I wanted to break it up a little bit, and for the scarf, the one on the left, I didn't want to give him a blue scarf, so I just figured, you know what, let's do like a yarn khaki scarf. A wool scarf. That's what I was thinking, like a wool scarf. And I just used my E43, E41, and E40 markers to give that a little bit of color. The funny thing is, as I was being done, I realized, oh, my beaks aren't even colored in. So I used Y00 and Y04 just to give it a little bit of a coloring. I'm never sure to do either yellow or oranges on beaks. So I just did a very faint yellow just to give it a little bit of coloring. I should have done a little bit orange. I'm not sure. But they're very small portions, so they worked out perfectly. So once it's all done, I went ahead and used my Martha Stewart scissors. These are my favorite to cut it with. And what I'm doing is leaving a little space, because that gives it, if it's uneven, it's perfect because nobody will notice. And I'm moving the paper and I'm making long cuts with my scissors because I love these. I'm so glad they brought these back. But that is what I did just to get my image prepared. I said I'm learning still with my Copics, and hopefully I get better as we go along. So here we go. Here is what we're looking at. All right, now we're going to take our scrap piece of craft paper and make a nest. We're gonna make some crumblies. Not some crumblies, some fibers. All right, so we're gonna put that aside. And you're just going to take it, and honestly, there's no actual measurements for this. If you have a paper crimper, you can use the paper crimper to get it all crumbly and stuff, but honestly, we're just going to, do we have enough? I think we might have enough. So this is what I do. I start folding it inwards towards it, see? So if you don't have, I have a paper crimper, but I don't want to go digging for it. And you just, all right. You're basically making a ball. Now, this is going to be for a little nest right here. All right. So I think that's enough of them. Let me see. Yeah, it looks like enough. But we're going to 3D this puppy up. Now, what you can do is take an extra piece of paper, and we're going to just create a little nest, and this will be glued onto here to give it more of a solid base. So that's what we're going to do. Now, you could do this with hot glue, you could do this with all sorts of glues, but we're just going to go ahead and try it with wet glue. We're going to, the reason is that if you use hot glue, and depending on where it goes, it might not stay on, because what if it goes through a hot area, or what if people put it in their garage? You know, you never know. So press it down, hold it down. You're also going to be able to pick it up. Now, I'm going to put in some little glue specks underneath here, so the loose ones will then be put in. So, and they will hold, hopefully, or I could just be, there we go. So now you're going to hold it down for it to catch, and you're going to hold it for a couple of seconds, because this is the Scotch tacky glue quick dry one, and you're just going to hold it down. And if these are loose, and okay, so see my little nest came up too far, no problem. snip off a few little excess pieces if you don't want it too long. Now, if there are some pieces that you do want to ideally tack down, little dot of glue, bring it down. All right, but let's move this aside. Let's go ahead and now put my needle back in my glue. And that's why I love these glue tips, because the, am I even looking at it? No, it goes right in there. All right, let's get some dimensional foam. This is just a 3M foam. Now, let's go ahead and just adhere the little birdies inside. I needed my glue. Duh. Let's just put a little bit of glue here, a little bit of glue here. And we're going to position the little birdies just right in there. And we're going to foam mount these puppies. Should be using the other one. Okay. We're going to use a little bit of the foam mount to stretch it. I cut it in half. Let's start all the way from here. Now, this ideally may not be the card to ship out, because you have to, consider the fact that it has all of the excess, but this could be a card that you give to a friend, a coworker, whatnot. All right, we're gonna put that there, put that aside. First, let's create our base. So, where is my base? My base is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. We're going to put that there. Let's get some and the little blue, I want it to look like a sky. Let me see. I don't want to like rub anything off. I wanted it to look like a sky, hence why we used the blue with the ink that we did. And now we're just going to, so this can be, if you have a friend that's a couple, maybe they're just moving into a home, maybe they're having a baby soon. This is a perfect little card. And I'm trying to center my sweet little birdies without covering too much of, but you can see that it says Happy New Year. So there you go. Another card. Sorry, this one took me a little bit longer. I will have had to sped up the coloring process just because it was much easier. But how cute is that? Super simple, has a lot of character. I think the fact that we have the base of the blue and then the sentiment kind of floating, but the birdies up front, it gives it tons of dimension, especially with that little easy nest that we made. Oh, and let's say if you just don't want all of these extra things, no need to fuss, no need to worry about putting them in. There you go. Fussy, messed, put away. The little birdies, super cute. We didn't use that many colors, but everything came together just nicely. So thank you guys again for joining me for my Everyday in December projects. I hope you guys are liking it. Again, if you guys have any suggestions, let me know. And please follow my blog, my site, almanaccraftkit.com. I will leave, of course, the links in the description. So thank you guys for stopping by, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye, everyone.